Post-war Britain rebuilt itself on promises. Polished showroom floors, walnut dashboards gleaming under London lights. Badges that once meant something. Daimler, Armstrong Siddeley, Lagonda still carried the weight of empire and aristocracy. For the businessman, the doctor, the returning officer with new money, these cars were supposed to announce arrival. Prestige without apology. But behind the chrome, something wasn't adding up. Engineering borrowed from the 1930s. Engines that couldn't keep their promises. Boardroom decisions made for all the wrong reasons. 10 British luxury cars from the 1950s carried extraordinary expectations, and one of them let everybody down completely. Let's find out which one was that car, starting with number 10. Number 10. Riley Pathfinder. Riley Pathfinder was launched in 1953 as one of the most elegant saloons Britain produced that decade. Riley buyers expected something special, a mark tied to Brooklands, to twin-cam engineering, to genuine sporting pedigree. The Pathfinder looked the part, with flowing lines echoing Italian coachwork more than anything from Cowley. Under the bonnet sat the well-regarded 2.5-litre Big 4 engine, mated to a separate chassis and torsion bar front suspension. On paper, this was proper Riley engineering. Then reality intervened. The chassis assembly had been subcontracted out, and quality control suffered. Some owners found alignment and welding inconsistent. The steering, using a worm and roller setup, drew persistent complaints. Would you have paid extra for a badge that once meant Brooklands, only to find the underpinnings hadn't kept pace? Just over 5,000 were built before Riley's identity began dissolving into BMC's badge engineering machine. It was a warning sign nobody in Coventry wanted to read yet. Number 9. Lanchester 14. The Lanchester 14 carried one of Britain's oldest and most distinguished names, a mark that had once built cars for royalty, decades before Rolls-Royce existed. By 1950, though, Lanchester had become little more than a badge-engineered subsidiary of Daimler, and the new 14 made that painfully obvious. The car retained Daimler's fluid flywheel and pre-selector gearbox, technology that had impressed drivers 20 years earlier. But the chassis beneath the new coach-built body was barely altered from before the war. Contemporary reviewers noted little of technical interest beyond the front suspension's laminated springing. For buyers expecting Lanchester's historic engineering leadership, that was a quiet humiliation. The export version, badged leader with a lighter all-steel body, fared little better. While rivals raced toward modern unitary construction, Lanchester was still relying on ideas from the 1930s. The name that once rivaled Rolls-Royce had become an afterthought, and the next entry shows even Bentley chasing ambition couldn't guarantee success either. Number 8. Austin Sheerline. Austin Sheerline, launched in 1947 with one unmistakable ambition: to give British buyers a genuine Bentley alternative at roughly two-thirds the price. Leonard Lord's flagship arrived with razor-edge coachwork, a Flying A mascot echoing Bentley's own winged badge, and a substantial 4.0-litre straight-six under an imposing bonnet. The ambition, unfortunately, outran the engineering. At close to 2 tons, the Sheerline was a genuinely heavy car, and even with the enlarged engine it struggled to top 89 miles per hour, modest for a car wearing such lofty pretensions. Worse, Austin's hopes of cracking the lucrative American export market never materialized, sealing the car's fate early. Would a Bentley owner have seriously considered trading down? Very few did. Production ended quietly in 1954, its roll passed to the Vanden Plas-bodied Princess, and next, a different British marque discovered that even genuine motorsport pedigree offered no protection. Number 7. Wolseley 680. Wolseley 680 was a car that occupied a curious space in Britain's automotive hierarchy. Wolseley carried genuine prestige in the early 1950s, favored by police forces and government departments, its badge illuminated at night in a way few rivals dared attempt. Buyers expected refinement to match that authority. Under the bonnet was a 2.2-litre overhead cam 6, an engine layout promising smoothness beyond typical family saloon fare, at least on paper. But the 6AE's underpinnings betrayed its age quickly. The chassis and suspension design owed more to the 1930s than genuine post-war engineering, and its handling drew criticism as newer rivals arrived with modern layouts. For a marque associated with authority, that mismatch mattered. Owners paying for prestige increasingly found themselves in a car that drove like something from a previous decade. Wolseley's reputation as a serious luxury contender began quietly eroding, and elsewhere in the same corporate family, Riley's Pathfinder had already shown this wasn't isolated. Number 6. Lagonda 3 Litre. Number 6 belongs to the Lagonda 3 Litre, and few cars on this list had better engineering credentials. Under David Brown's ownership, Lagonda shared its twin overhead cam straight-six with the newly glamorous Aston Martin Range, a sophisticated 2.9-litre unit producing 140 brake horsepower, paired with independent suspension all-round and rack and pinion steering, years ahead of most British rivals. Even Prince Philip owned one. Yet royal patronage couldn't rescue its commercial fortunes. David Brown's attention, and his marketing budget, went almost entirely toward Aston Martin sporting two-seaters. Lagonda Saloon was left to sell itself to a shrinking circle of older, well-heeled gentlemen who simply preferred it to a Daimler. Could brilliant engineering survive total commercial neglect? Barely. Across 5 years, only 270 examples found buyers before the model quietly disappeared in 1958, nothing ready to replace it. Sophistication couldn't compensate for a company that had stopped believing in its own saloon. Number 5. Daimler 104. Daimler 104 was a 1950s saloon built to reassert Daimler's standing among Britain's most prestigious marques. Under Lady Nora Docker's influential presence at the company, Daimler leaned hard into opulence, walnut, leather, and a genuinely capable 3.5-litre straight-six engine, all wrapped in styling meant to rival Jaguar and Bentley on the showroom floor. Here's where the story turns. Despite the engineering pedigree, Daimler under BSA ownership was becoming known as much for boardroom extravagance and internal politics as for its products. The 104 struggled to translate genuine mechanical merit into the sales success its badge should have commanded. Buyers increasingly gravitated toward Jaguar, offering comparable presence with sharper performance and better value. Would you have chosen this over a Mark 7 Jaguar in 1955? Fewer buyers than Daimler hoped said yes. The name that once supplied royalty was slipping, and what came next from Daimler's boardroom would prove far more damaging. Number 4. Austin Princess 4. The Austin Princess 4, or DS7, launched in 1956 with an almost unbelievable ambition to challenge Rolls-Royce itself in the owner-driver luxury sports saloon market. Priced above £3,000 and stretching nearly 17 feet, the Princess paired a burr walnut dashboard and deep leather bench with claimed 100th mile-per-hour performance, remarkable for a car built on Austin's aging platform. Reality was considerably less flattering. Road testers recorded fuel consumption as low as 9 miles per gallon at cruising speed, worse than Rolls-Royce's own larger Silver Cloud. Beneath its handsome slab-sided body sat a thinly disguised commercial engine never designed for this kind of ambition. Could walnut veneer and leather really disguise a lorry engine's limitations? Buyers weren't convinced, and sales never materialized in meaningful numbers. Daimler, Lagonda, and the royal household itself were all facing similar reckonings by the mid-1950s, but one still had a genuine surprise left in store. Number 3. Daimler DK400. Daimler DK400 carries genuine royal weight and genuine royal disappointment. The Daimler DK400 arrived in 1954 as a replacement for the company's imposing straight-eight limousines, cars that had served the royal household for decades. Built on an elongated Regency chassis with room for 3 abreast rear seating, the DK400 was meant to continue that unbroken tradition of supplying Britain's most important passengers in comfort. It didn't go to plan. Powered by a 4.6-litre straight-six rather than the straight-eights it replaced, the DK400 struggled under its own considerable weight, reportedly close to 2 tons. Delivery to the Royal Mews was delayed for months, largely because of the car's underwhelming performance. Could a limousine built for monarchs really afford to feel sluggish? Apparently not. Even after the cars finally arrived, they left royal patrons unconvinced, and Daimler's centuries-old royal warrant was ultimately not renewed. Losing that connection signaled that Britain's oldest prestige marque had lost its footing at the very top, and the next entry shows even an aircraft manufacturer couldn't out-engineer this same problem. Number 2. Bristol 403. Bristol 403 was a car built by an aircraft manufacturer determined to prove it could out-engineer the traditional motor industry. Arriving in 1953, the 403 shared its aluminium coachwork with the earlier 401, wrapped around a BMW-derived straight-six developed with genuine aeronautical precision. Everything about it suggested serious engineering ambition, right down to concealed door handles and a wind tunnel-shaped body. The price told a different story. A Bristol 403 cost roughly double a Jaguar XK120, yet its 100 brake horsepower delivered performance nowhere near that premium justified. Contemporary figures show 0 to 60 taking around 15 seconds, hardly startling for a car pitched against Britain's fastest luxury coupes. Would you have paid twice the Jaguar price for half the excitement? Few did. Just 287 examples were built before Bristol moved toward a different design language, proof that aircraft-grade construction alone couldn't guarantee showroom success, and it makes what happened to our final entry even more remarkable by comparison. Number 1. Armstrong Siddeley Star Sapphire. Finally, at number 1 we have Armstrong Siddeley Star Sapphire, and its disappointment is the most ironic of the entire list because this genuinely was a good car. Arriving in 1958 as the company's final swan song, the Star Sapphire refined the earlier 346 into a 4-litre saloon with real presence, offering something close to Rolls-Royce quality at a fraction of the price. Reviewers were impressed, and it deserved a future. It never got one. Armstrong Siddeley's aviation division had quietly become the company's real priority, and by 1960, car production was wound down entirely as the firm merged into Bristol Siddeley and eventually Rolls-Royce's own empire. The Star Sapphire wasn't cancelled because it failed the public. It was cancelled because the boardroom had already moved on. Would you have paid Rolls-Royce money for a car this accomplished, only to watch the badge vanish within 2 years? That's the cruelest kind of disappointment, not a bad car, but a brilliant one abandoned just as it found its stride. 10 badges, 10 promises, 10 different ways British luxury motoring fell short of its own ambition in the 1950s. Some failed through outdated engineering. Others through corporate mismanagement, or simply terrible timing. What connects them all is a simple truth: prestige on the bonnet never guaranteed satisfaction behind the wheel. Which of these disappointments surprised you the most? Would any of them have tempted you in period, badge and all? Let us know in the comments below. And if forgotten British motoring history interests you, consider subscribing. Until next time, this has been Britain Rewind, remembering the cars Britain would rather forget.